A very good evening to all our viewers. You're watching World News on CVR English with me, Asma Afreen. Residents sought refuge on rooftops and cars floated through flooded streets. A typhoon, Kalmega, battered the central Philippines on November 4, 2025. At least 2 people were killed and more than 150,000 people were forced to seek shelter as the storm made its way through the islands of Cebu and Negros. Packing 150 km per hour, winds and gusts of up to 205 km per hour, the typhoon made landfall in the Philippines' Dinagat Islands province just before midnight on November 3rd.
Taifun Kai, von den Einheimischen Tino genannt, entfesselte seine volle Wucht auf den Philippinen. Innerhalb weniger Stunden wurde die Luft selbst heftig. Der Sturm richtete im gesamten Landesinneren Verwüstungen an. In Ostsamar erreichten die ersten Böen noch vor der Morgendämmerung. Bei Sonnenaufgang drehte sich der Himmel seitwärts. Der Wind fegte wie unsichtbares Feuer durch die Städte und zerfetzte alles, was ihm in den Weg kam. Metallplatten flogen durch die Luft und drehten sich schneller als ein Autorad. Palmen bogen sich, bis sie brachen. Werbetafeln zerknitterten wie Papier. Ganze Häuserzeilen stürzten unter dem Druck ein, dem keine Wand standhalten konnte. Ein Augenzeuge sagte, der Wind klang lebendig, als würde er uns jagen.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has vowed full justice following the assassination of Urupan Mayor Carlos Alberto Manzo Rodriguez in Michoacan, a region long scarred by cartel violence. The 40-year-old mayor, known for his strong stance against organized crimes, was shot dead during Day of the Dead celebration despite being under federal protection since 2024. His murder has triggered widespread protest across Michoacan, where citizens demanded accountability and accused authorities of failing to protect honest officials. 2 suspects have been arrested and 1 was killed at the scene. While Sheinbaum condemned the killing, she ruled out altering Mexico's security strategy, instead reaffirming her government's commitment to intelligence-based policing and zero impunity.
El
Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has backtracked on his party's earlier pledge to deliver £19 billion in annual tax cuts. Before last year's general election, Reform had promised sweeping tax reduction, including lowering corruption tax, cutting stamp duty on property purchases, and raising the income tax threshold. Farage now says such substantial tax cuts are no longer realistic given the dire state of public finances. If reforms were to win the next election, he said the party would instead pursue more modest measures such as increasing tax threshold and abolishing inheritance tax from family farms and family-run businesses. Last year's manifesto also proposed saving around £50 billion annually by cutting what the party described as wasteful government spending.
One of my own great frustrations is that Brexit has been squandered. The opportunity to sensibly deregulate, the opportunity to become competitive globally, all of that has been squandered. And the worst thing is that regulations and the way regulators behave with British business, I want as many high-earning people as possible living in this country and paying as much tax as they legally have to. Because if the rich leave and the rich don't pay tax, then the poorer in society will all have to pay more tax. It's as simple as that. We will cut spending. We will encourage growth and entrepreneurship. We want to cut taxes, of course we do. But we understand substantial tax cuts, given the dire state of debt and our finances, are not realistic at this current moment in time. And we will raise the thresholds at which people start to pay tax to begin the process of getting people out of the 16-hour-a-week working debt trap that so many people find themselves in. Be in no doubt we are pro-business. Be in no doubt we want work to be rewarded. Be in no doubt we will do everything we can to bring back confidence and to bring back a change of culture.
A British man has been remanded in custody after he was charged with 11 counts of attempted murders following a mass stabbing attack on a London-bound train. Anthony Williams, 32, was arrested moment after the LNER train from Doncaster to London King's Cross was brought to a halt at Huntingdon station on Saturday evening.
Sure. Yeah, wait, and no.
Right.
Stay with me, I want to look at the back again.
President Trump gave a reluctant last-minute endorsement to Andrew Cuomo in his battle with Zohran Mamdani to become the next New York City mayor. Trump has snipped at Mamdani for months, and during a CBS 60 Minutes interview on Sunday, he repeated his threat of withholding federal funds from his native city if Mamdani wins.
Good evening, everyone. But I want to take a moment to speak about who is on the ballot tonight. Donald Trump just put out a statement encouraging New Yorkers, saying they must vote for Andrew Cuomo. We know and have known for months that Donald Trump would favor Andrew Cuomo as the mayor. They share the same donors. They share the same small vision. They share the same sense of impunity. And yet in these final days, what was rumored, what was feared has become naked and unabashed. the MAGA movement's embrace of Andrew Cuomo is reflective of Donald Trump's understanding that this would be the best mayor for him. Not the best mayor for New York City, not the best mayor for New Yorkers, but the best mayor for Donald Trump and his administration.
If you are elected, that is a very real threat that you're going to have to deal with. How will you address that after you're elected if you win?
I will address that threat for what it is. It is a threat. It is not the law. And too often we treat everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth as if it is already legal just by virtue of who is saying it. And it is time to finally stand up to the bullies that make these threats, not to become the bullies ourselves. And we've seen time and time again that the best way to respond to Donald Trump and to defeat these kinds of threats is to actually stand up and fight back. You've seen leaders across this country who have shown their unwillingness to compromise on their own morals and their own values as the way in which they fight back. And too often what we found in New York City is instead a willingness to capitulate.
The Prince of Wales was presented with the key to Rio de Janeiro as they arrived to Brazil on Monday at the start of a 5-day visit. Standing atop Sunglove Mountain, Prince William took to the picturesque view of the city below, including Gunbara Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. After travelling up the city's landmark by cable car, the prince was formally greeted by Eduardo Paes, the mayor of Rio de Janeiro, who handed him the key as they looked down on the city from a helipad. On Wednesday, William will host the annual Earthshot Prize Awards in the city before travelling on to Belém. Before landing in Rio de Janeiro on Monday morning, Prince William, 43, said that he often thought about what kind of planet his children would inherit if urgent change was not enacted.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Como é que eu peço?
Feliz é essa temporada.
Inside what to give to you.
Obrigado.
De nada.
That's so cool. There's a lot of stars here.
Yes. Tá assinado no nome dele. Oh, quer tirar uma foto com ela?
We'll do a photo, yeah, here we go. We'll do a photo.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky posted a message on X thanking the workers of Ukrainian railways for keeping the country connected despite ongoing war conditions. He praised their resilience in maintaining logistics, recovering from strikes, and ensuring that 90% of passenger trains arrive on time while moving over 135 million tons of cargo since the start of the year.
Стандарт ще сказав ширше, там буде можливість.
По фідбеку, який будемо отримувати. Бо це своя робота, ми це робимо самі.
Взагалі це один з 3 вагонів мостицького поїзду.
На заході було б Житомир став.
Гарячі кухні, де відбуваються гарячі процеси, тобто вже фінальне приготування їжі.
Дуже приємно. Запрошуємо в гості до нашої нової кухні. Ви зараз знаходитесь в холодному цеху. Ми в пікову частину готували 24 тисячі порцій в день.
У 24-му році, коли відбувся масштабний блекаут в Харкові.
Смачних продуктів, які тільки можна. Це такі термотарії.
Всі види їжі можна тут готувати.
Шановні присутні, усі працівники та працівниці нашої української залізниці. Перш за все, я хочу подякувати всім вам, всім залізничникам України за те, що наша країна, попри війну, з'єднана, і те, що в Україні працює тилова логістика, зокрема залізнична, одна із найбільших основ нашої сили, всього народу. Українська залізниця відновлюється після ударів, важких ударів, зберігає основні маршрути, забезпечує перевезення людей, наших громадян та забезпечує перевезення вантажів. І Тільки від початку цього року Укрзалізниця перевезла вже більш ніж 135 мільйонів тонн вантажів. І більше 90% українських пасажирських потягів прибувають вчасно, чітко, за розкладом, і навіть тоді, коли обставини надзвичайні через обстріли ворога. Варто відзначити також і надзвичайні гуманітарні функції Укрзалізниці. Це вже більш ніж 3650 рейсів медичних поїздів, які рятують наших захисників, наших поранених захисників. І це також евакуація людей з території, де складно, з території бойових дій.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth received a grand welcome in Seoul for the annual Security Consultative meeting with South Korean Defense Minister Ahn Gyu-bak. The two leaders reaffirmed the nation's alliance, discussed North Korea's growing threats, and signaled new flexibility for U.S. forces in the region. Hegseth emphasized readiness and regional stability, while Ahn stressed peace and modernization. European Commission President Kaja Kallas visited Bosnia and Herzegovina to address EUFOR troops, following the United Nations renewal of the EU peacekeeping mission mandate. Kallas praised the professionalism and dedication of European forces, highlighting EUFOR's vital role in maintaining stability and security in the region. The visit reaffirmed Europe's long-term commitment to peace in the Western Balkans.
Sehr geehrter Generalmajor, liebe Soldatinnen und Soldaten, guten Morgen an alle. Schön, wieder in Bosnien und Herzegowina zu sein. Sie haben mit aller dazu beigetragen, Bosnien und seine Zukunft zu sichern. Ich möchte mich persönlich bei Ihnen allen, unseren europäischen Soldaten und denen aus den anderen Ländern, für Ihren Einsatz hier bedanken. Ihr Engagement und Ihre Professionalität machen diese Operation zu einem Erfolg. Überall auf der Welt sind Frieden und eine auf internationalen Regeln basierende Ordnung bedroht. Herausforderungen für die territoriale Unversehrtheit dürfen nicht auf taube Ohren stoßen, nicht zuletzt in Europa selbst. Deshalb hat die EU schnell reagiert, als die Einheit und die verfassungsmäßige Ordnung Bosniens bedroht waren. Im März haben wir die EU-4 mit zusätzlichen Truppen verstärkt. Deshalb ist es wichtig, dass Ihre jährliche Übung, Quick Response, ein Erfolg war. Das beweist Ihre Bereitschaft und Ihre volle Einsatzfähigkeit, um Bedrohungen der Sicherheit abzuwehren. Und deshalb freue ich mich auch, dass der UN-Sicherheitsrat am Freitag anonym für die Verlängerung des Mandats der Operation Euphora gestimmt hat. Die Welt erkennt an, dass sie Bosnien und seine Region schützen. 30 Jahre nach dem Friedensabkommen von Dayton wird die Europäische Union weiterhin alles tun, um ein Sicherheitsvakuum im Land zu verhindern. Wir werden nicht zulassen, dass sich die Geschichte wiederholt. Natürlich hoffen wir alle, dass Bosnien Fortschritte machen kann. Die jüngsten Entwicklungen in der Nationalversammlung der Republiken bieten die Chance, die politischen Spannungen zu verringern. Freie und faire Präsidentschaftswahlen könnten das Vertrauen in die lokalen Behörden wiederherstellen. Die Menschen in Bosnien und Herzegowina verdienen eine Chance auf Stabilität und Raum zum Atmen, und genau das wird der Beitritt zur Europäischen Union bieten. Er ist die beste Garantie für eine bessere Zukunft des Landes. Es gibt nur sehr selten Zeitfenster für eine Erweiterung der Europäischen Union, aber jetzt gibt es eines. Ihre politischen Führer müssen diese Gelegenheit nutzen, sonst wird sich das Zeitfenster wieder schließen. Nach 1,5 Jahren Gesprächen hat der Ministerrat von Bosnien und Herzegowina im letzten Monat eine Reformagenda an die Europäische Kommission geschickt.
In Beijing's Great Hall of the People, Chinese President Xi Jinping warmly welcomed Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Midhusan, calling him a friend of the Chinese people. The meeting held on Russia's Unity Day underscored the unshakable alliance between Moscow and Beijing as they coordinate policies to resist Western pressure and shape a multipolar world order. Xi and Mishustin praised growing trade, financial cooperation and cultural ties, pledging to sustain favorable conditions for mutual investment. With both nations aligning their strategic and economic goals, the summit signaled the consolidation of an emerging Eurasian power axis, one capable of challenging the West's global dominance and reshaping the future world system.
Ministers are here today. Today is Russian Unity Day. And I would like to start by congratulating you and all the members of the Russian delegation on this holiday. I welcome your return to China after 2 years. You are a good friend of the Chinese people. In recent years, you have worked hard to promote our multifaceted cooperation, and I appreciate your contribution. Since the beginning of this year, amid a volatile external environment, China-Russia relations have been steadily advancing towards high-level and high-quality development. Russian President Vladimir Putin and I have met twice in Moscow and Beijing, exchanged views on strategic and comprehensive issues in Sino-Russian relations, outlined new plans and set new benchmarks. I can say that the high level of strategic mutual trust and close contacts between the heads of state are key guarantees for the stable and sustainable development of the comprehensive strategic partnership between our two countries. Yesterday, UN Chinese State Council Premier Li Qiang successfully held the 30th regular meeting of the Chinese and Russian heads of government. You have conducted a comprehensive review and summary of our bilateral cooperation in various areas and achieved constructive results. I hope that you will continue to maintain close coordination, implement our agreements with President Putin, and, based on the fundamental interests of our two countries and peoples, deepen bilateral cooperation to make a greater contribution not only to interaction between our countries, but also to development throughout the world. I know that you were also in Hangzhou. I saw it on television. I also worked in Hangzhou for many years. I lived right next to West Lake, and I often went for walks there.
Hundreds of protesters filled Valencia's Plaza de la Virgin on Sunday after the resignation of regional president Carlos Mazin, demanding that he face trial over the 2024 Dana flood disaster that killed 229 people. Demonstrators carried banners reading Mazin is a criminal and Mazin to prison, while families of victims hold photos of their deceased relatives. Activist Ana Marbuno said the protest marked a year of struggle and accused Mazin of turning a climate catastrophe into a human catastrophe.
Firma pressupostos que ens venen com llibertat, però darrere del paper hi ha un pacte amb el dimoni, amb Vox fent-li d'escuts agenollar el seu domini. Dona presó, ni oblit ni perdó, más dona presó, ni oblit ni perdó, más dona presó, ni oblit ni perdó. Són morts, són assassinats, no són morts, són assassinats. Cap altra banda comença. El president atrinxerat amb l'estaca a la mà, li d'escuts agenollar el seu domini, busca eixir del fang però s'enfonsa més encara.
No són morts, són assassinats! No són morts, són assassinats!
We come to honor a year of struggle, of demonstrations, of a general strike. We have achieved the first of our objectives, which is for Carlos Mazin to resign, but we have many more.
Val la pena que comencem amb una consigna.
He, Carlos Mazin, is the main person responsible for turning a climate catastrophe, like that of October 29th, into a human catastrophe. We know there are many responsible parties, but he is the main one, and that is why our first objective was to make him resign, and we have achieved it. Can't take it anymore? He keeps playing the victim and has the nerve to go on sick leave for depression.
That's all for now. Keep watching CVR English.